I'm live. Yeah, it's the first time I'm doing it live. Taking any questions for about strategy. If you have any, I can help. This is the first time ever I've been live. It's Friday the 13th. It was 4:44, and so if you have any questions, I know I don't have that many subscribers. I might pull some people in off the web. If you have any questions on strategy, okay, let me know. It's gonna be short and brief. I probably won't even get anybody. If you have any questions about strategy, let me know. I'll see what I can do to answer them. Remember, with strategy, you're supposed to, you got to know about adaptations. You got to know about maneuvering. You got to know about different types of terrain. Okay, you got to be objective. Okay, you got to know about armed struggle. When you deal with people with conflict face to face over advantages, that's the hardest thing in the world. Nothing is harder than armed struggle. When dealing with strategy, you need to understand that. So that basically the 13 chapters in the Art of War are the best example or model we have of strategy in the world, right? Um, Now you need to know about formation, okay, and that would be chapter 4. So you can make yourself invincible, but you can't make others vulnerable. What's my opinion of COVID? Wow, I don't know. Will they stop the video if I say, well, yeah, COVID is it's a uh, weaponized virus. It's been around for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. All of a sudden, it was weaponized. Very mysterious. How do we beat the Bolsheviks? And let me see. That's a good question. Who is that? The Bolsheviks. Um, if you explain, maybe I can elaborate. Et baby, I appreciate that. And then ripped. He laughed. I guess he probably knows what it is, and I don't. All right. Um, so strategy is one of the most is the most important thing in life. You cannot live life without strategy. You're using strategy right now. Some people think, well, I'm going to use strategy on this. I'm going to use you using strategy all the time. You drive to the store, you use a strategy. You brush your teeth, you cook clothes. Cook food and wash your clothes. The strategy, every action is tied to a strategy. Action implies strategy. Strategy implies tactics. You cannot separate strategy and tactics. You cannot separate actions and strategy. Okay, and so I've talked about this before. Like a lot of people don't understand this, and I hear people talk about tactics and strategies, and they're really just they're describing their tactics. You know, there is no isolation data for COVID, isolation data. Yeah, and the Bolsheviks are the ones behind all this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I learned something new. COVID is a fraud. There is no isolation data for COVID. Yeah, COVID's been around, suspiciously, over in Wuhan, but there were labs like less than 3 kilometers away, where U.S. companies were working on COVID uh, 19, experimenting, so to speak. Okay, so they might put the little thing on my video now that I've even used that word, but that's okay. And once again, you need strategy in dealing with what's going on out here right now. How do you yourself use the art of war in life? Wow, yeah, I try to portray that in a lot of some of the videos, all the time. If you want to, you have to rely on having what can't be attacked, not on opponents not attacking. Look how this applies. If you drive in the car, and if you want to make a right or a left while you're driving on the freeway or a street, and you turn without looking or looking in the mirror or turning your head, then you're relying on opponents not attacking. And then that's why a lot of people crash. It usually takes 2 people to make an accident. 2 fools, I say, so to speak, because one person has to make a dumb mistake and another person has to make a dumb mistake. And when they meet, that's when you have an accident. So the person that's trying to go past you doesn't see you turning into them. You're turning into them because you didn't look back. You're not relying on having what cannot be attacked, which basically means you're preventing, danger. I have been posting 1,000 bounty for the isolation of data for COVID for months. I have not paid it out. All right, yeah, um, yeah. I'm reluctant to go deep into that, but I will talk about it insofar as it relates to strategy. Um, we have to have a strategy in dealing with this. Look at people's strategy when it first happened and everybody was scrambling for toilet paper and whatnot. as opposed to being prepared for it. Bill Gates did do a seminar on where he was on TED Talk, and he said 5 years. Well, he didn't say exactly when, but he said there's very soon. I believe there's going to be a pandemic, and that's going to be worse than a nuclear war. It's one of the things we should be worrying about, and lo and behold, coincidentally, it did happen. All right, and now he's got teams, for all the school districts, around the country, and he's got his hands in a lot of the vaccines. And so, like the Art of War says, you need to see the subtle and the hidden. Great wisdom isn't advertised. Great merit is not known, right? So you really have to fill in a lot of things in life yourself, obviously, and that's what strategy is about, right? Would moving to another country be an option? Which country is immune to what's going on right now? Well, they don't have any cases in Vietnam. I believe Sweden's was low. They didn't have any lockdowns. Now, it's not easy to get in Vietnam or get out, and that could play a part. And Sweden is mostly, for the rich. So in that way, also, COVID mysteriously has the same symptoms as 50 other diseases. Massachusetts would be proud of this. It's the same symptoms. It does. It sure does. Yeah, just like the flu, and a cold, and so a lot of people are symptomatic. They call it, carriers, but not show no symptoms. But then they're not good transmitters either. So like kids, good carriers. But if the kid is not sick, they're also not a good transmitter. So you're not as likely to get it from someone who's an adult and is sick and you're around them. But they do leave germs around. So in that way, no symptoms is a symptom. I use the Art of War in life all the time, try to use it more and more. I guess first you got to understand it. So there's at least easily 100 rules, 300 or 400, but if you condense them, a lot of them repeat, and they're all related to each other too. So they all take place at the same time. Strategy, if you think about emptiness and fullness, or formation, or the force of momentum, you seize battle you seize victory in battle from the force of momentum, not from individual people. A lot of people get stuck on this person or that person, or they want to see they put together a cadre of an excellent team, and that can work on a small level, like the Fugitive or SWAT. But when you have big organizations, when you consider strategy and people, you tend to have there's not that much gray matter, as there are white shirts. So you can't rely on superior talent to run a good strategy, because most people will not have superior talent. And that's why a strategy, you organize people in such a way as your strategy can be effective. So even the timid, when you have the force of momentum on your side, even the timid become brave. When you lose the force of momentum, even the brave become timid. Let me see. We're moving to another country. That could be an option. I think I did touch on that. COVID mysterious has the same symptoms. No symptom is a symptom. I bought Michael Corda Power because he recommended. Cool, yeah, that book, man. I've been reading that since the 80s. Yeah, the 80s. That book is old. And the book is really old. I had to buy it a couple of times. I read some books like The Art of War. I mean, I bought that like 6 or 7 times because I read it so much the pages fall apart. I had the pocket version, for years I looked for a good version until I found Thomas Cleary, translator, which to me is the best. Do I believe the election was rigged? Let's see. I'll be honest. I am don't vote because there's so much behind that. This particular time I did though. I did because I had to take someone to go vote. So I said, you know what, I'm here. I'm gonna just go ahead and vote. But I voted green. I voted for Howie Hawkins. I voted green. Do you have advice for Trump? Don't get caught. Don't get caught. Or would you have advice for Trump to hold power? Would you have advice for Trump to hold power? I think his greatest power is a businessman and not really the best at that. He's been bankrupt 3 times. He inherited his wealth and lost it. There's lots of tax, sketchy tax deals going on. He won't reveal his taxes, and so yeah, there's a lot going on there, I think. Um, but yeah, strategy is so critical, and if you plan ahead, like look at the financial situation right now, look at the economy, look at where it's headed. Um, the cash is trash. The value of the dollar is just it's going totally downhill, obviously. And so you have to put your cash into assets if you want to be valuable. 500 companies, 300 bankruptcies, bad businessman. Oh yeah, Trump. Yeah, no doubt about that. Disney laid off 28,000. They're going to lay off another 14,000. Even the banks are starting to lay off people. Goldman Sachs is laying off. I think was it 500, which is not big compared to 28,000. But as far as investments, I believe crypto, real good. I've doubled, since March. You got your XRP. I remember when it was 3 cents, it went to 11. I started buying it, and by the time it was up to 15, and now it's been close to 30 a few times. But I think if you really want to capture the crypto market, wait till Wall Street bottoms out again. Wait till the stock plummets, and because that's when I swooped in that last time when after the pandemic, and when Wall Street falls, crypto falls right with it. It's not logical. I think eventually they will separate, but for now, crypto follows Wall Street. Gold doesn't do that. It's got a it's let me see, was that 3 bankruptcies? Okay, I agree. Okay, cool. Yeah. Unfortunately right now, I don't have it like that. I want to be like John Wick. I want to pay in gold. I want to have gold in order to pay for gold. You might want to think about food too. I mean, this is a real thing. So if you can garden your own food, among other things, you might be better off, because we could fall into a Mad Max, totalitarian. It could become a, martial law. I'm not ruling that out. So you need strategies for that. Stock market isn't going anywhere. Yeah, stock market is I mean, come on. The government, they're dumping billions, trillions just to keep them all afloat because of they don't want Wall Street to collapse. And that's why Main Street, we're all down here suffering and starving. Food banks are overloaded. Gold going to 10,000 for sure. Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's already almost at 2. It was as I watched it go, 15, 16. I think it said 18. It'll be 2 soon. You're right, 10 grand. That's what a lot of people are saying. So I think that's a good strategy to hedge, against the dollar, because and that's a strategy, right? Instead strategy, like Art of War says, take 3 months to prepare your strategy. 3 months is relative, it's relative. It can mean 3 minutes. It can mean 3 years. It could mean 3 decades, so 3 decades is kind of long, but yeah, it's all relative. So, strategy is, since you have to do it, since you're doing it anyway, you might as well learn some of the rules, about it. I think, if you're in a war, which we are, life is a kind of a warfare, like the Art of Worldly Wisdom says. It's a warfare against the malice of other people, unfortunately, So in that way, knowing about strategy is a means of self-defense. We all need strategy. Understand strategy as a means of self-defense. You have to. You can't make others vulnerable, but you can make yourself invincible and wait for vulnerability in others. This isn't always about fighting. As a matter of fact, for me, it's never about fighting, physical fighting. So you can't use it really in the way that the book was written. Because I mean, who goes through that besides soldiers? You have to convert it, for things in everyday life. It should be for the people you love, you care about. The Art of War applies to that too. Victory is only by surprise. Okay, surprise your wife or husband by doing something they didn't expect. That makes the relationship better. For your kids, for your friends, people you care about, because they don't expect you to do that. The best move is the one that's unexpected. the best plan is the one that's unknown. This applies to doing good too. This just doesn't apply to fighting off evil, people, somebody trying to break in your house, or, somebody trying to steal something. It just doesn't apply to that. It applies to everything if you know how to convert it, right? Victory is only by surprise. In battle, confrontation is done directly, right? That's orthodox methods. But victory is only by surprise. How do you achieve that? Only by using unorthodox methods, right? So those skills that the unorthodox are as infinite as heaven and earth, right? As inexhaustible as the great rivers and oceans, strategy is, and this is my first, my first little. Appreciate comments and stuff. I didn't know what it would be like, but yeah, I said I would start do this a little bit more as well. So I will be doing, these. This is kind of cool, right? 15, almost 16 minutes of strategy talks. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me about that. The coldness of complete objectivity is something that we all need. It's hard to do, especially on yourself, right? If you look at yourself and you see no wrong, you see yourself doing no wrong, then you're probably not very objective. It's not easy. It takes practice, but you have to use strategy on yourself, right? So you dwell on the ravages of war. AI. What I think about AI? Yeah, AI is it's a wrap. The only way I did a video about that 2 videos ago. The only reason that some of you are still working is because it hasn't been automated yet. That's it. Period. And we used to think, well, doctors are safe. Oh, okay. So you haven't seen Prometheus, and they would think, well, lawyers, people that do these services, you figure, well, how can a robot? They only do, manufacturing, and that's not true anymore for sure, right? No one is safe. Teachers, dentists, even they got robots, serve, take place of a police officer. People thought they were safe. Even like programmers. Well, programmers are going to rule the world, so that's a good strategy to get that job. They go learn C++ and, JavaScript and Python. And guess what? But how about GPT-3, right? On open source. And so now that's out. And GPT-3, businesses can go ahead and get that. It's Elon Musk. I think Bill Gates has got his hand in there too. And it writes the code. You just talk to it. It writes the code. So now they don't need to hire programmers anymore. So now programmers, you lost your job too, right? Because of AI. The AI can write the program, And why do you think Jeff Bezos, his strategy was to get people to get minimum wage at $15, right? Now he also recently, because a lot of the complaints his employers gave him, he raised his minimum pay to $15. He wants the whole country to do it. Why? I'll tell you why. Because he's going to use AI to replace all of them anyway. Right now they're working with computers, but in a minute it'll just be just computers, and all those people driving those trucks. That's going to be, it's going to be no drivers. So then those people are going to be out of job, and then he calls everybody else to pay $15 minimum wage. So now they got less employees, and he can just crush them. So what's everyone going to do? Sit around? Right. Well, I think that's up to you, because they need people to have money to spend money. The GDP is already shrinking. So their strategy, I believe, will be the basic income, universal basic income, UBI. And that will come through a digital currency. There's going to be a great digital reset. And the dollar will no longer be the, global currency, and the digital currency will take its place. And the problem with that is, as you know, if you give $10 to your son or daughter for the birthday, they're gonna pay taxes on that, right? If you buy your wife give her money, your husband something, is going to be to every single transaction you make. No more paying the guy to do your lawn cash, You pay that, he's going to pay taxes, no more under the table. So it's going to be so heavily monitored. And then you do something wrong. As soon as you do something wrong, they snatch it right back. Okay, so that's going to be the disadvantage of UBI, and you receive the money through, like, this assistance we're going to get is any more stimulus is going to be in the form of a digital currency from the government, and that's how they're going to keep track on everything, have you more control over you, and then probably make crypto illegal once it becomes so valuable. If Bitcoin hits 10, 100,000, especially like 2 million, and then so now you got it, you're rich, but also now you're illegal. So the key probably will be to pull out just before they do that, maybe, unless you just want to take a chance with that, see how that goes. And that's a strategy, and strategy is hold on, that's hello? Come open the door. Okay, I'll be there in a second. Yeah. Well, so listen, this was great. I'm gonna do this more often. This is my first, no, no. That's my common law wife. All right. Yeah. So, you probably have to come in here. Yeah. And that was funny. I'll be back. I'm gonna do this more often. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. I'll do it almost every day, and I'll see you all soon. All right.